think it's a point of negotiation. I think he's at a beginning place. $500,000 a year. This is how we're going to structure the bonuses or any kind of incentive. It has to be in stock in the company. Public companies, for quite some time now, have been under pressure to make sure that the incentive packages for their executives, are geared to the right numbers and the right set of matrix. And it's just not an automatic bonus.
Yeah, but Republicans are in a box in this, right, Lynn? Because if they look like they're too much on the side of the bank CEOs and the CFOs who lost all this money with these elaborate paychecks, then it looks like they can't identify with average folks.
Well, not really. I think that still at the end of the day, it's going to be a negotiated point. They're going to say, okay, look, we can raise the limits here. It doesn't have to be 500,000. It might be $1 million. It might be something else. But you have to bring in some compensation experts to say, all right, here's something that's really viable for the long term. If they're going to have government money for a long time, that works. Here's how they can keep talent. Here's a plan that will work. Don't lose the talent because you decided not to give them incentive. You've decided to make it so difficult for the executive and his executive team that they don't want to be there, and they'll leave and they'll go some other place. So I think it's a point of negotiation in terms of what that's going to be. And again, isn't that the board's responsibility? So how is all of this? There are
a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah, how is all that going to mesh together?
Good answers, good solutions, Mr. Super Bowl hero. Congratulations on your Steelers again. Feel well.
Thank you.
We'll be seeing a lot more of you, I'm very sure. Lynn Swan. All right. Well, President Obama putting the GOP on notice today about this stimulus package too.
Now, in the past few days, I've heard criticisms that this plan is somehow wanting. And these criticisms echo the very same failed economic theories that led us into this crisis in the first place. The notion that tax cuts alone will solve all our problems.
So is he now saying the tax cuts help lead us to our current economic condition? To Pennsylvania Senator Arlen Specter, another Pennsylvania. Did he just say that?
Oh, what's the question?
The tax cuts kind of led us to this mess?
Well, I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying that tax cuts alone are not going to get us out of it. Frankly, I think there ought to be more tax cuts than are in the House bill. That's just one of many, many questions. If I may, let me start with, I think, is the most fundamental point. And that is the rush to judgment, which we're undertaking here. We passed the bailout TARP legislation under the gun and made a lot of mistakes. Didn't have hearings, didn't have markup, and now we're shooting for a target date of February 13th. We just voted for the first time today, and it's one of 13 votes, which we're going to be voting on the balance of the evening.
So you're right. You are. There's no reason to go crazy and rush bad legislation through, right?
That's my point. I think we ought to be following regular order. President Obama replied that there's an enormous emergency. Well, I know there's an emergency, but we got to do it right. And I don't like the haste. And one of the things we're trying to look at is today a group of senators met trying to figure out a way to have a stimulus which is really designed to put people to work, not a lot of other things. A lot of interesting and good programs here which ought to be in the regular budget process where they would fight it out among priorities where we have a limit on discretionary spending. So we're working on it. We're working hard. And so far, there are more unanswered questions than answered questions.
Well, could I ask you this then, Senator? There's a lot of talk these days from your colleagues that maybe the middle ground or the common ground or to get more Republicans, more moderate Democrats on board is something in the tax incentive area, maybe the payroll tax, maybe to cut that. Or is that where this could be joined?
Well, I think there has to be a combination. There has to be a mix. Taxes are not shovel-ready projects. I believe we ought to have a significant part of this stimulus package on shovel-ready projects. My governor, Governor Rendell, assures me that on roads, bridges, and highways, he's ready to go within 6 months. And those are items which I think ought to be at the top of the agenda.
All right, so stuff like, honeybee insurance or help with funding for sexual disease education, that sort of thing, that would not be in Arlen Specter's definition of urgent stimulus.
They're not at the top. No, they're not. They're not at the top of my agenda. I served as chairman of the subcommittee which had education and health care, and I believe there are a lot of important programs, but I think when we're looking at a stimulus, we ought to be looking at programs which are going to put people to work promptly. That's the nature of a stimulus.
That's what it comes down to, right? I mean, everyone has been saying, look, if the singular goal of this is to get people working and fast, you've got to focus on those type of jobs that could be up and running fast, right? So that would be infrastructure, that would be utility type work, grid type work, right? Am I hearing you right?
That's right. Now, when you talk about bonus depreciation, which is a bill that I had pushed for years and is now law,
right,
to give a 50% deduction in the first year, say you have a piece of machinery with a life of 20 years, 5% a year. Well, if you give 50% the first year, that gives an incentive to a company to go out and buy this machinery, which has long-term productivity benefit. That's a tax cut which would be helpful.
Gotcha. Senator, if you don't mind me to digress, how are you feeling these days?
I feel good. I had a little bout with Hodgkin's, had chemotherapy.
Sure.
It was bald for a while. They wanted me to become a sex
It grew in nice.
Now all my hair's back. I feel good, in the top of my game, and doing great.
Well, you're a fighter, sir. We all appreciate that. Continued good health.
Thank you very much. Nice being with you.
All right,
Thank you.
Senator Arlen Specter. All right, when we come back, think no one warned about Bernie Madoff? Well, think again. Harry did back then. Harry on Capitol Hill today. And let's just say Harry wasn't happy, was he?
Tonight, Red Bull gives New York wings. As this snowboard sponsor takes over downtown with some of the biggest names in the game, how will the event help energize investors? Snowboarder Shaun White has answers. Who's up and who's down? America's Nightly Scoreboard.
Sandals Luxury Included Resorts now include a once-in-a-lifetime offer. Book now, save up to 55%. Call your travel agent or 1-800-SANDALS.
If anyone depends on you, listen to this important message. 3 out of 4 Americans know they need life insurance, and many who have it know they don't have enough. Sound like you? How would your family get by without you? Would they lose their home or their dreams of a good education? They don't have to. You can guarantee those you love $200,000, $500,000, $750,000 or more with life insurance through Matrix Direct. We'll help you get more for your money, up to 75% more. Just look, less than $15 a month buys a 40-year-old man a $250,000 term life policy. That's up to 3 times what you can get from other companies for the same price. No wonder millions of Americans have